this video we are going to be looking at setting up a very basic enemy. The aim of this video is to create an enemy that will walk back and forth between two walls or two areas. So in this video it's going to be going between these boxes and this wall and just walk back and forth. In future videos we will look at putting in a damage system so you can damage the enemy, they can die, all that other stuff. There will be some little pre-setup of that in this video. So to begin with, what you're going to need to do is create a folder with name it enemy or the type of enemy it's going to be. So mine's a golem, so I've got that here. So in contrast to the goblin that I've been using as the main character. So inside here I have brought in all the sequences for my animations, set them up as sprites, and then created those into flipbooks that I need. So, I've got the idle, got the walk, and you just need to set them up. Make sure you've got your collisions on, which I don't, which may be an issue. Yeah, just make sure you've got these all set up to begin with. Once they're done, they're done. Now you'll see in here I've got the death and the attack, which won't be used in today's video, but they are good to set up so you've got them ready. Whatever animations you're going to use for today's video, we're just going to look at the idle and the walking. So once you've got all that set up, if you haven't, I would pause the video here, go and get all that set up and brought in. In previous videos we have shown you how to do that, so we won't be staying around on this point during this video. So to begin building our enemy, we need to create a new blueprint class and then search for paper character, which is just down here. We're just going to select, and then I'm going to name this, I'm going to call it Golem Enemy, but you call it whatever you need to call it. And inside here we have got it set up like with our character. So first thing I'm going to do is place a sprite in. So I'm going to use the idle. Now the capsule component is too small, so I'm just going to change my perspective, put the lighting on so I can see it a bit better, and I'm just going to play around with this, getting it close to where I want it, and then just selecting my character and bringing that up, and then just a little bit taller, something like that. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect, it's just, it will help. Okay, so once we've set all that up, one thing you may need, so if I change this animation to a attacking animation, you'll see the capsule component isn't covering any of the attack part. So that means that the collision won't happen with the bat. So to affect this, we're going to add a second component. So we go up to the left and add component. We can search for a collision, and we have a few different options. For this, I'll probably go with a capsule collision, but you could use a sphere or box depending on what's best. And I may just name this bat capsule, just so I know where it's supposed to be. You can drag this into place, scale this up. Again, that's what you're going to need. So you know you want it to cover most of that swing. Yeah. So that should be fine, and then I'm just going to go back to my sprite and set this back to idle. There we go. We'll compile and save this. That should be set up nicely for the collisions to work. You've got your character in there. So the next thing to do is we're going to go into the event graph for this. So just here. And on here we can get rid of the event active begin overlap for now, as we won't be using it in this video. And primarily we're going to be working with the tick, the event tick. So just under the event tick, we right click, we're going to make 2 new custom events. So if you search custom event, the first one's going to be an animation update. So similar to the character, this is going to tell the golem this time whether it should be an idle or walk. And then we're going to have another custom event. And this is for the movement update. So telling the golem when to turn around and move and how far to move, things like that. So once these are both set up, we're going to go back to the tick and we're just going to connect up the animation update and then the movement update. So if we compile and save that, this is going to every frame the golem character is going to check the animation update and the movement update. So the next thing to do is we need to set up some variables for our flipbooks. Now this has been done in previous videos, but if you are unsure, I'll quickly go through this. So here we've got a new variable, which you should be getting used to now from previous videos. If we go to variable type, we can search flipbook. Now, ensuring you have set up your flipbooks in advance, which you should have done, this should work quite easily. So, if we name this golem idle, FB, the flipbook. And then if I press compile, that is going to allow me to put a flipbook in here. So I can just put in the idle one. You're going to want to do this for all the animations you have. You may only have a couple for each enemy. You might have multiple. It might be just like your character where you've got 5 or 6. So I'm just going to set up a few more. So get this one. On the walk. Get it again. It's the attack. Dying. And death. And the last one is the dead one that I have for this character. So I just have the 5 at the moment. And then if I just press compile, I can then go into each of these and change the flipbook to the right one. We will only be using the idle and the walk in this video, but in future videos we will be using the others, so it is good to get them pre-set up while we're here. Just compile and save, and that's them done. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to work on the animation update. So here, what we're going to recreate is this piece of code here. So in a little bit. So it's going to connect up to the set flipbook, which we've done in the past off the base of the sprite. Then it's going to select some other bit of code here, whether it's going to be the idle or the walk. We've done a very similar thing with the main character. So here we first select our sprite and just going to bring that in, and then set flipbook. We can pop this off over here. Then what we want is a select. Pull this out a little bit. So then just going back to the code. From here, I'm just going to grab the character movement. So we get the character movement just from here, drag this in. Then off this, we're going to look for the velocity. Just search velocity, and then scroll to the bottom. It is get velocity. It's the right one. Don't set it, just get it for this occasion. Then we're going to look for the vector length. So from here, vector length. And then greater than. So just looking for the float, greater than float. Just connect this up to the index. Yeah. And then we just need to bring in these flipbooks that we just set up. So we've got the idle, which we're going to get for the false, and the walk we're going to get for the true. So straighten this up a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. So what we've got here is the animation update, which will be being checked every frame. So what it's going to do is going to decide on the flipbook to play, dependent on if there is some velocity that is greater than 0. So if there is greater than 0, then it's going to play the walk animation, and if it's at 0, it's just going to play the idle, which is how we want it. So we just press compile and save, and that is the animation update part done. So we can just leave this up here next to the event tick, and then next we're going to work on the movement update, which you may want to pull down because there is quite a lot of stuff to add to the movement update. So from the movement update, well, to look at what we need first, this is what we're going to be starting off with. So we've got the movement update here. I'm going to do this top part first. So we're looking at the movement direction, which we're going to set up as a variable. And then that goes into a branch and then sets the rotation in the Z. So let's do that first. So we'll set up that variable first. So a new variable, this one's going to be a float, and this is going to be called the movement direction. Just compile this and set the movement direction to 1. Compile again, just save. Now we can pull this in and get this. So we've got a movement direction here. So then that movement direction is going to go into a greater than. So, and that will be inputted into a branch. So let's go into a branch. And just here we'll have a sequence. So make sure you search the whole word sequence so to come up with other stuff. 0 to the branch. And then from the true, we're going to have a set actor rotation. And then we're just going to Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V on Mac, and connect this up. And then just change the Z on the bottom one to 180. So this is going to control the rotation of the character. So I'm just going to select these and lift these up out of the way. So that's that part done. And save that. Now the next part is quite a long piece of code. So the first part is on the bottom part of this image. So we have the input, we have the movement direction again, adding input to the character moving. So it's going to tell the character to move a 1 in the X, and then this is going to get the character to move. The problem with this is the player will not know when it hits, sorry, the enemy will not know when it hits a wall and when to turn around, things like that. So we're going to have to add a bit more code, which is what this line trace is. So the line trace checks where the actor is, adds a value here. I've put it on 300 here, it depends on what you need, of how far it's searching. So it's how far it's going to send out this line trace to work out if there's something in front of it. And then what we'll do is we will move on to this part, which is looking at setting it up so it causes the character to stop, have a delay for a certain period of time, and then start walking again, which you can see here. So, and then this is set up to reset this. So to begin with, we'll get this add movement input. So the add movement input, like so. And then we want the movement direction to be placed into the scale value, and change the world direction to 1. Just going back to this, we now want the line trace by channel. So pull this out, search line trace by channel, it will come up. You might want to pull this out a little bit further so you've got a bit of space to work with. Now, from here, we have the get actor location. So we're just going to search that. So get actor location. It's going to just connect up to the start. Then we are going to get the actor forward vector. So get actor forward vector, it should come up. From here, we're going to search for a multiplier. So we're looking for the vector star vector, so vector multiplied by vector, and in here we're going to do the x by the amount that, first things first actually, you right click on this little dot here, we need to split this strut pin and then change the x to, I've got it on 300 but you can change this later, you might need it higher than you think, and then this is going to go up into a plus, so we're looking for a vector plus vector, and then connect this into, from the get actor location into the other value, and then connect that into the end. So what this is doing is it's getting the actor's forward vector and adding 300 times to the actor's location to work out the end of the line, at the end of that line trace. So in this next part we need to then have a branch. So we put off the return value, we can search for a branch. Once we've added the branch, we will then add a do once. So from the true, we search do once, like this. Then we are looking to bring in the character movement. Just drag that in, and from here we're going to search for set max walk speed. And we're going to connect this up here. And we're going to have that at 0. So what it's going to do is when this does happen and it hits the wall, when the enemy hits the wall, gets to a stop, it will get them to actually stop and not continue walking, so the max speed is at 0, so they stop moving. Then we're going to add the delay. So put this over a little bit. Add a delay. Now the delay is up to you whether you want to do this, but you can either type in your value here, or you can right click and promote it to a variable, which will give you a variable down here. And then if you press compile, you can set that variable just from there. You can make it a little bit easier to access. So I've just set that to 2 seconds, so when it hits the wall, it'll wait 2 seconds, and then we're going to get it to start moving again. So next we need to get the max walk speed. So we're going to set the max walk speed. We need the character movement first. So I'll get that. Set max walk speed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, promote this to a variable, sorry. So we've just promoted the max walk speed to a variable, compile and save this. And we're going to set that to be 600. So again, you can access what the speed of the enemy is going to be just through here. And we can use this again in a minute to set up the speed at the start. And then the last part is to have the movement direction be multiplied by -1, so it rotates it, and then this loops back round. So we grab the movement direction and we get a set, and then we're also going to get the movement direction and get it, and then we're going to multiply this. So I'm going to pull off, search for float times float, connect this back up to the movement direction, and times this by -1. And then we're just going to select these, put these back out. Now what you're going to want to do is, from the end of here, I'm going to drag this back around to the reset on the do once, and then if you double click on that line that you've just created, create a pin, and you can just pull it out and pin it. Pin it out the way so you can see it a little bit better. Something like that. Do. So then the last part we need to do is update the event begin play. So all that's going to be is the same as these three pieces here, so we can shift select these, Control C, go up to your event begin play, Control V, and then just connect this up. So this means at the start of the game it will set the max walk speed to be the same as what it's going to be down here. And if we just compile, save this, I mean, you could go through selecting areas, pressing C, and giving it a comment, so animation there. Pull these up, and then you could have this section, which is all to do with the movement, and grab it, C. Just so you're a little bit more aware of what's what. Grab the sections, just to tidy things up a little bit. Complete, compile and save that. Now when we close, you should have your enemy here. Now what we're going to do, we're going to drag that enemy in. Now remember, you want your Y to be at 0. To place this wherever you want to place it. I have mine here. So what the enemy should do is walk up to here, stop, turn around, walk up to these boxes, stop, turn around, and so forth. This is just a basic enemy with basic AI running to get it to move. Like I said, in future videos we'll look at damaging the enemy, get the enemy to attack the player. So just to test this before we finish the video, press play. Got our goblin character. Just going to stand up here, and as you can see, the enemy is walking towards, stops, turns around, we follow it, and stop, turn around, when it gets to us, it stops, we move, continue going, again. So that is the enemy working on a basic level. That's it for this video.